Good Wednesday evening, listeners. Good Wednesday evening, listeners. And welcome to another edition of Conversations of a Sister here on my YouTube channel. And while I am anxious to mention or talk about the Nolan Wells case, I do have a couple of emails here that I received from listeners that I need to address. However, I was reading some disturbing news. The news has not been confirmed. I don't like to talk about what has not been confirmed, but news outlets or social media is stating that there is a leak from the medical examiner's office that autopsied Nolan Wells' body and that Nolan Wells' body had been abused. Well, people have been speculating that all along, that the body had been abused. However, they also said that it looked as if he was burned, tortured, and that clearly they're thinking this is nothing short of a hate crime. So we do know that Mississippi is historical for hate crimes, and people are basically not surprised by what they hear anymore. I'm sure the details will come out because this story is definitely pending as well as tragic. There was also another young man killed in Texas. I think the name is Daniel Irving. He went fishing with some friends and they came back without him. I was not aware of that story, but my assistant had brought that story to my attention just tonight. However, the young men in that case have been arrested because I think they tried to hide the clothes and other evidence. So they've been arrested at this point. But this is also a story in the news to watch. So it's very sad, very tragic, and also very disheartening. But on a lighter note, my listeners and blog readers constantly remind me that it is okay for me to talk about politics as if I needed their permission, but they would like me to keep my conversations light and on the topic of relationships. So there are two emails that I received this week that I will address. So the first email came from a young man, and I thank him for reaching out to me. He stated that he was dating his girlfriend in college. They graduated 2 years ago. They both live in separate states. He travels back and forth a lot to see her because he said that it's something about when she tells him that she misses him that he just hops on the next flight. I guess he has it like that. However, he feels like they're at a crossroad now because he wants to move where she is. She's an RN, she's a nurse, and I didn't ask him what he did for his profession because his main thing is that he's tired of flying back and forth to see her. He wants to actually be near her, and that's how it should be in a long distance relationship. At some point, the distance should end. So he wants to end their distance. So I think that's great. His issue is that he's close to his mother and he's been talking to his mother about it, and his mother is afraid that he is going to move by her because she's been encouraging him to get her to move to him. But he says she's a RN, and I think she would have to have her license in that state before being transferred. So, and that's not something that she wants to do right now. And it's also something that he's not entertaining. He is willing and ready to move to her. So he said that he knows that his mother is going to oppose it. He said that lately, when he's been going to see his girlfriend, flying to visit her, he's been looking at homes because he said that if he moved, he's going to buy a house with the intent for them to merge together. And I guess that would be eventually, you know, in a marriage, as he stated. So his thing is, how am I going to break this to my mother? I'm very close, he said, to my mother, but I am now in love, he said, and I am attached to He said, my girlfriend. He said that for the first time in all of his, I think he said he was maybe 28, 29 years, he's really seeing and learning what intimacy is all about because this is what he has with his particular girlfriend. And I think that's sweet. And I also think that's special. So now he's like, Tracy, you have to tell me, how am I going to break this to my mother? I was talking to this friend of mine this afternoon, and they were like, ooh, tell him to watch Jumping the Broom. Because in the movie Jumping the Broom, he was a mama's boy. I don't know. I don't know if he was a mama's boy in Jumping the Broom. I didn't get that impression. I got the impression that his mother was very overprotective of him, and because she didn't have a husband or she didn't have his father, she kind of adapted him as her man. And some women do that. Some women will see their sons as their significant other and they get used to that. So when that man latches on to another woman, it becomes a problem. So that's the impression that I got from Jumping the Broom. Not necessarily that he was a mama's boy, but just that he was close to his mother and he was now ready to detach because he found a woman that he loved. But the Bible does state that a man is supposed to leave and cleave. He's supposed to leave and cleave. Leave his parents, cleave to a wife. That's biblical. And you guys know that I'm always going to take it biblical. So he told me that he watches my show, him and his girlfriend. They listen religiously. And he's looking to me to advise him on how to approach this because after all he is close to his mother. I think that there is no other way to handle it except by being straight, except by being honest, because first of all, if he is in love with his girlfriend and that he travels there, he travels to see her. I think he said he travels to see her every other week. And I think he told me, I think he said it's a 2 to 3 hour flight. So if his mother knows that he's traveling back and forth to see his girlfriend, his mother also knows that he's in love with her. Of course, she knows that's her son. I'm sure that she sees the difference in him because you always see the difference in a person when they're in love with someone. So I think that you should be honest with your mother. Um, I don't know what your routine with your mom is. Maybe you go there during the week, maybe you go on the weekend, maybe you're there quite often. But I would just have a great conversation with her. And I would tell her what my intent is. And you just have to be prepared for whatever her reaction may be. You just need to accept that because I said to him, however she reacts and however she takes it, is that going to have an impact on your decision? And he said, absolutely not. At this point, my mind is made up. So if your mind is made up, you need to be intentional at talking to your mother and telling your mother what your plans are, even if you have to make her a part of them. And we know that mothers and their sons can be very close, and the women that they fall in love with is not looking to end that relationship, but it's almost like you kind of have to cut the rope. You have to loosen the grip on that man because he now has another woman in his life. And once that marriage happens, things change. Things definitely change. Sometimes mothers don't like their significant daughter in laws because they feel like she's taking the son away. I'm hoping that's not the case here. And I'm hoping that this is something that he approaches as lovingly as he possibly can. But this is a very exciting time. This is a very important decision. And it sounds as if his mind is made up. I don't think that anyone should relocate for a relationship if it's temporary. Something temporary, you don't relocate. You don't relocate for that. And it sounds like he is going to make this permanent. And he's going to make it permanent because it's something that he is already pondering. He said that he and his girlfriend, they've talked about it. And she loves the fact that he's very supportive of her. And because he works from, I think he said home, so he's pretty much stationary, he can live anywhere. So this is why he is willing to upload his life and move where his girlfriend is. He just don't know how his mother is going to take it. Him, his mother's very close. He didn't say anything about his father, but he did state that he doesn't know how his mother is going to take it. So I think that you have to be honest with your mother. He should be honest with his mother. He needs to say, this is a move that I am going to make, and I am hoping that you embrace it. Even if you don't, this is my decision. And I want you to respect it. I even want your blessings because I am happy about what it is that I am doing. Because he sounds pretty certain. It's just that he just don't know how to tell his mother. And I have to kind of agree with my friend. I think maybe you should watch Jumping the Broom. I think that that's a that's a great example as to what this gentleman dealt with when he was getting ready to marry his girlfriend. Now, mind you, the situation was a little different. He didn't want his mother to meet her because he knew that his mother was going to, like, I don't know, I guess chase her away because he knew the personality of his mother. So he kept both those worlds apart until he was ready for them to collide. So maybe it might be a good idea to watch Jumping the Broom, just just to get a little insight, just to get a little bravery on how you should do it. But I say go for it. Life is short, and if you love her, be with her. He said that he could be taking a shower at night. He said he talks to her, and before he goes to sleep, she tells him that she misses him. And he said the next morning, he makes his reservation and he catches a flight. He said because when she misses him, it's something that he likes. He said that he has the keys to her place, and when he gets there, he just walks right in. He says sometimes she's doing a shift, and he'll wait for her, and they'll go out to dinner afterwards. He said, but he's there. When she says she misses him, he said that he's there, and he spends a substantial amount of time with her, and that's how it should be. So he said that he did not want her to feel the distance between them, and he doesn't like feeling the distance between them because he's in love with her. Love is not enough, just so you know, but it sounds like you have all of the recipes to build something great. So I say go for it. Tell your mother, be intentional, go for it. I wish you all the luck in the world. And I would say send me an invitation to the wedding, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But good luck. Good luck. I think it's going to work out. So, the second email that I received was from a young lady who really likes a man that she's been dating, and she's never ever had him over for dinner. And she's a little nervous about it, but she had a question to me was if I've ever hosted a dinner party. That was a question for me. If I've ever hosted a dinner party and invited a man that I was in love with or a man that I was dating. So that was my question two for this week. And I want to answer her. Yes, I have hosted a dinner party, and yes, I've cooked for men that I've dated. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I was dating this guy when I was in college, and he worked late. I was living at home with my parents. He worked late. So I remember, I was a daddy's girl, but I remember saying to my father, I was like, I'm cooking dinner for, and I said the guy's name. I said, he's coming over tonight. He's working late, but I'm cooking dinner for him. And, my father was thrilled because he was like, oh, wow, she's cooking dinner for this guy. Long story short, oh my God, I was nervous. And what I did was his favorite dish, because I like to know a man's favorite dish if I'm going to cook. His favorite dish at the time was like chicken. He loved barbecue chicken. And I had cooked him, I think it was macaroni and cheese. I mean, yeah, I made all this stuff. And I made barbecue chicken, but I burnt the chicken. I don't know what I was doing, but I burnt the chicken. And what I did was I basted it in the barbecue sauce because I was like, all right, if I baste the chicken in the barbecue sauce, he's not gonna know that the chicken is burnt. So I basted the chicken in the barbecue sauce. He came over, I served the food. He was eating it. He was eating it as if he was enjoying it. And I was on pins and needles. And I said to him, do you like the dinner? Are you okay? Like, is it good? He was tearing the food up and he said to me, he said, yeah. He said, this is really good. I can tell you burnt the chicken. He said, because you drowned it in the barbecue sauce. He said, but that's okay, baby. It's still good. So he ate it. He ate it anyway and took home what I had left. But anyway, to make a long story short, yes, I have hosted a dinner party and I have hosted for men that I've been interested in. Now, the reason why she's going to do this dinner party is because she wants to be able to invite her friends over so that she can feel comfortable. I had a girlfriend of mine that did that. She liked this gentleman and she invited he and his son over for dinner. And I was there. She made a spread. The food was out of this world. It was out of this world because she was like a great cook. But I say that to say when you're interested in someone and you cook for them, you're going to cook with love. And when you cook with love, you can't miss because the food is going to come out. It's going to be great. That is, unless you can't cook. If you can't cook, then I would say cater it. They don't have to know. You just cater the food from someplace great. But he may know that you didn't cook it. If he's that in tune with you, he'll know. So you might want to make the meal. But I think she told me in her email that she can cook. It's just that she needs to know how to go about this dinner party. First, I say you want to find out what his favorite foods are. You want to find out what he likes. And hopefully, what he likes, you can cook. After you come up with your menu and you know what your menu is going to be, you can say to him, I'm having some friends over for dinner. I would love for you to come. I'm going to make, and you can start telling him what you're going to make. And you can say, what do you think about that? Or do you have any objections to that? If you already know what he likes, you can announce your dinner party, send out invites or whatever, and still just tell him what it is you're going to cook. You can run it by him, and then he'll give you his opinion. And when he gives you his opinion, he may add or subtract, and you can take it from there. And when you take it from there, you cook like you are cooking for the king that he is. I hope he is a king. I hope he is treating you like a queen because then he deserves that meal. But you want to ensure that your guest is going to be delighted. And you do so by deciding if you are going to have an elaborate menu or a laid back menu. This is the summertime, so you might want to go for light dishes. You might want to do salads like a potato salad, a macaroni salad. You have this diarrhea virus going around. I'm not going to say a green salad because people might be nervous about a green salad, but you could do a simple vegetable and maybe grill something in your air fryer or grill something in your backyard. However, you want to set it up, whatever you want to serve, you want to do it and you want to do it in delight. You want to make your invitations fun. You want to ensure that you know what your guests are going to do for the night. And if you are trying to impress him, you want to do so at this time with your meal. You could keep it simple, but as long as it's delectable, that is what matters because you want him to remember what it is that you cook for him. You want him, a year from now or a couple of years from now, or if it lasts that long, you want to be able to say, wow, she really cooked that for me, or she really cooked this for me. But there's nothing wrong with doing it um, once in a while. I don't think that, you're in a relationship with him. There's nothing wrong with cooking for him. If this is your way of inviting that into the relationship, there's nothing wrong with doing that. If you see him on Friday nights or you see him on Saturday nights, let's say if he takes you out on Saturday night, you might want to cook for him on Friday night or on Sunday because he took you out on Saturday. But if cooking is your thing, if you like to cook, there is nothing wrong with cooking for someone that you are interested in. And you said that because this is your first time and you want to invite your friends as well, you want to make everyone feel comfortable, especially him. I don't know if he's met your friends before, but this is going to be an entertaining night. And it is also going to highlight you because you are going to be presenting yourself in a meal. And that's important because it's how you want to present yourself. And you're going to present yourself in a meal. Don't be nervous, try to be as calm as possible. You want to prep your food after you know what your menu is. You want to set your table. Please, whatever you do, I don't know, this is my opinion. Whatever you do. My sister was here the other night and she said to me, "Oh my God, you don't have paper plates?" I was so insulted. Don't use paper plates. Please don't. Use nice silverware. Use nice flatware. Uh, if you don't have any, the dollar store, they have nice plates and small plates and salad plates and forks and spoons. You'd be surprised what looks expensive but is actually affordable. It's not so much how much you spend on it, it's how you present it. You want to present it well, and you can present it well with affordability. That's very possible. You are going to be creative and you are going to use your imagination. When I give dinner parties, I like to put my candles out. I like to use my cutlery boards. I like to do appetizers first. I like to present everything nice. I like it to look delectable. I like to have champagne glasses, even if I don't have champagne in them. I'll have their favorite drinks or juices. I have the table set nice depending upon what I'm serving. But I love to host dinner parties because I don't know. I guess it's because I like to eat that I like to host dinner parties. And it gives me the opportunity to cook. And I can cook, contrary to what anyone may think. Because people be like, oh my God, you eat out all the time. I can't imagine that you cook. Yes, I do cook, but I also do like to eat out. But I can cook and I do cook. And when it is time to cook and present myself, I don't mind doing so. And I think that you should do it, and you should do it as excitingly as possible. You want to be exciting about it. Be excited about it because they're coming to your home. When I cooked for the first time for my boyfriend like years ago, when I was in college and I lived at home, and we had this big house, but I lived with my mother, my father. I think some of my siblings were still there. And when I invited him over for dinner, I needed everybody to get lost. I wanted everybody to go into their own little cubby holes. And they did just that. You know, it might have been some snickering in the background because they knew I burnt the chicken, but I did ask for my privacy. You did say that this is your first time your friends are going to be there. So you're going to have the floor. The floor will be all yours. It's all about how you present it. When I've given dinner parties here at my home, it's like I like to have a spread. I like to have it looking like something that's going to be presented in a magazine. I just like to present it like that because I think that presentation is everything. But if you are going to present it like it should be in a magazine, it should taste like that as well. So put your best foot forward and host an awesome dinner party because you can do it, especially if you like to cook. So tonight's conversation was advice for the young man who wants to move to his girlfriend's state and is afraid to tell his mother. I did address that. And the young lady who's hosting a dinner party and needs to know how to approach it for a man that she's been seeing for quite some time and she wants to get him over for dinner. I did address that. And I also addressed the Nolan Wells case. I talked about that a bit. And I'm sure that I'll be mentioning that in the weeks to come, as well as this Danielle Wright, who was also murdered on a fishing trip and who did not come back. You know, people talk, especially on social media. And my assistant was telling me that she read somewhere that these were KKK rituals that she thinks that's being done. And there's been so many hanging by trees and, police labeling it a suicide when we all know that they're not suicide. And she's like, I think that a lot of these policemen are carrying out these murders. But as far as Nolan Wells and Daniel Wright, they were out with friends and they did not come home. And I think that's disturbing. And what's disturbing is that they're calling them friends. These were not friends. These were people who hated you. Because if the things that were done, that's being reported, was done, that's a hate crime. And it's cruel. It is really, really horrific. Those are hate crimes. And hate crimes should not be taken lightly. When you can burn someone alive, that's hatred. When you could torture someone alive, that's hatred. So you have to call it what it is. It's a hate crime. And everybody is not your friend. And I think that if you are going to be around six people or four people that you think are your friends, you need to have two or three real friends in the bunch. Friends that are going to have your back. Because everyone that you call friend is not a friend. And our young people today, some of them are finding that out the hard way. Parents, have the hard conversations with your teenage sons and daughters because everybody who profess to be a friend is not a friend. And this is not just a black and white scenario because we remember the young lady from, I think it was Alabama, Louisiana, who paid for all of her friends to go on this trip, I think to the Bahamas or wherever they went. And when she got there, I think it was the second night, one of them beat her to death. And they all watched because they envied her. It was all about envy. And she was murdered. She was murdered on an island by someone whom she thought was a friend. So we have to be careful with the company that we keep because some friends have hidden agendas and we don't want these agendas to be the end of our life. So tune in next week for next week's conversation. Until then, be well, be safe, and have a good night.